Good evening, all. Welcome to the town board meeting, May 9th, 2022. Please rise and salute the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilman Ganlon.
Here.
Councilman Lewandowski.
Here.
Councilman Niles.
Here.
Supervisor Marino.
Here. All right, the first part of the agenda we're going to start off with Mr. Baker, school superintendent. Do you want to come up and sit at this chair right there? And then everybody can hear you, and hopefully everybody out in Zoom world can hear you.
Thank you, Gene. I appreciate it. Thank you, board, for allowing us to be here this evening from school. That's my 20th year here at the school, and I'm very proud of all that we've accomplished. But each year, the toughest time of year for us is our budget time. Properly with our budget, and I just wanted to have a few moments, if I could, to talk to you a little bit about our budget, so that you know, as a school community. So we've added some positions. You're well aware of what COVID has done to some of our students. We've had situations in school where, the social emotional well-being of our kids is not what it was. These kids are used to being home. They're not used to socializing as much anymore. They're just getting back to the hang of things, and it's been very difficult for some of these kids, especially at the primary level. We had first graders this year who, because of COVID and because their parents took them home and/or we had shutdowns or what have you, they've never been in a classroom until this year. So instead of having kindergarten, instead of having pre-K, they came into first grade having never been in a classroom before. And so we're dealing with a lot of different social emotional issues with our kids. And so over the last few years, we added a new guidance counselor in the elementary school. We always think of our guidance counselors in the high school, but they're just as important in the elementary school to keep kids adjusted and working toward goals. And so we added a pre-K to 2 guidance counselor in our elementary during that time. We added an AIS teacher, which is academic intervention services, to help with reading and math, because our kids were behind. The kids were behind. And this is not new to Luzerne. This is everywhere. Kids are behind right now. We're trying to catch them up. We added an LPN. We have 2 RNs, one in each building, but we added an LPN nurse also to our program. It was especially important during COVID, but we found it just as important after for a lot of the other pieces that go along with our health services. That we already have Hudson Headwaters within our building, which has been wonderful. We've had that program now for the last couple of years, and it's been invaluable, especially during the COVID times. But we have full health care basically for these kids in our building on the physical side of things. And also Parsons, which is a group out of Albany, which handles behavioral management health for mental type issues. Yeah, that's been important as well. So we wanted to keep those things in place. This year in our budget, we're adding a social worker, which will be split between the 2 buildings, which again will deal with the social emotional piece. We're increasing a band position to try to reach down lower with our band, go into 4th grade and allow our 4th graders to start band. And then we're planning for another capital outlay. We just got done, it seems like we just get done with one project and then another one starts. So every 5 years, we begin looking at new projects on the capital side of things. There's always something to do. It's kind of like your house. The roofs, things of that nature that you're going to have to work on. So those are all important pieces for it. But the most important part for us is trying to balance the budget as best we can. And so when we look at the budget, we see that it's up a little bit from budget to budget, a little over 3%. Some of it due to inflation, different types of costs that go on. Obviously, we all feel that. But we try to keep the tax levy at a premium. And so this year's tax levy we're looking at 0.9%. 0.9% is where we're at. We're trying to utilize some funds from our fund balance to offset the costs for the taxpayers to ensure that we do the right things. And it's kind of where we are in today's world, and we'll do the best we can with what we have. And we've got a good system, a good place, and we're very proud. And so I'm going to turn over now to Michelle Taylor. I've got Michelle with me here tonight. Michelle Taylor is my business manager. So he handles the finances. And I've got Burgess Summit back here. We'll talk more about him in a moment. He's my high school principal. So Michelle, you join me.
Thank you for having me here. Beecher has pretty much spoke on most of the pieces that we have implemented, and the reason that the increase, obviously, it's been federal aid that's paid for most of those things out of the CARES Act. So that's why the budget has gone up. But again, with that tax levy and the proposed taxes, we actually have an estimated chart inside the small handout that I handed out to you, where your percent per thousand could be 11 cents per thousand. And again, like he spoke, we're utilizing state aid. We saw an increase in state aid of 5.44%, as well as utilizing reserves from, the TRS reserves and unassigned fund balance to help us to balance these budgets. With the budget, we also lean more towards the funding in our program side of things. You have a three-part budget where you've got your admin, you've got your capital, and your program. And our program has always been at least 75% or more, and that's where the increases come into play. So again, everything has is for our kids and trying to keep things for our community as stable as possible, so that they're not hurt with any of the increase in tax. The only other thing is just to remind everybody that we have the budget vote is Tuesday the 17th, and with that we are setting up a proposition for a capital reserve. So setting up the capital reserve is money we would like to put into that reserve. So the capital project that Beecher just spoke of in the next few years, we would have money from there also to also assist with our taxpayers. So again, they're not feeling the burden of when we decide that something really needs to be done between our buildings as well as the bus garage. So I think we've hit on just about everything. Does anyone have questions for me?
Anyone in the audience have questions? You can help.
Yeah.
Stan, you're gonna have to speak up unless,
Now, the school board may be proper. Is there an issue of CRT and transsexual training for kindergarten for the grade when we have these in the schools?
There is no issue in that.
No. You're not a microcosm for the rest of the country.
We are definitely not a-
And
There's no doubt about that.
okay.
How many present students are we enrolled with this year?
758.
What's it looking like for next year?
Maybe a little higher. We did get an influx of students, not a large influx, but at the kindergarten level, the last number of 15 per grade level. I think that some of that is attributed to COVID. Why I say that? Because now people work from home more often. Here, property for them. City, home, so it's a nice deal. So that's actually a good thing for us in many ways. So we've seen a little bit of a influx.
Okay.
Can I mention one more thing, if I may? Do I have to sit here, Gene?
No, you're loud enough, I think.
Sure.
we can hear you.
Okay, I'm pretty loud. The only other thing I wanted to mention to you is that my last year at the school, I'm retiring this year. As superintendent. I was high school principal for 12 years, and high school principal for 12, and superintendent for the last 8. And it's been a pleasure. Students have taken me in as one of their own. I'm a Warrensburg guy originally. We used to fight a little bit, Warrensburg and Luzerne a little bit, but I've worked with Thousand Acre Ranch for a long time, and a lot of these characters were people that I grew up with, and that meant a lot to me. And so this has been home to me for a long time, and I love it. I love the fact that I had a chance to meet the kids all the time, work with the kids, joy to see them everywhere I go in life. And I just want to thank everybody for everything they've done for me over the years. Working with Gene has been a pleasure.
Working with you is really good.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, let's know that we've got a great man replacing that Burgess Summit right here, who's our high school principal. He's going to be replacing the superintendent. He's going to start on August 1st. I'll be here for that. I'll be riding into the sunset, but I won't be gone forever. Still ride my Harley. You don't have any other questions?
No, wait, one more over there.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
I have a grandson in fifth grade, and I don't know who the teacher is, but when I see the problem, that's who's fifth grade.
That's good to hear. We'll find out who that is for me, so I can hope they can help me too.
He does a great job.
It's either Brown or Boucher. Either Tim Brown or Tom Boucher.
I don't know this one, but
Well,
in 5 minutes, you got it.
excellent. That's great right here. I got some stories about it.
Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Beecher, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, next we had for a little talk on what's going on at Buttermilk Cleanup through the town and the road department. DEC official is here. I don't have a name here, so you'll have to say.
Sure. My name is Becca Terry. I'm a forester, and a land.
Gonna speak up just a little and move closer, that's it.
Which the Hudson River Recreation Area, also known as Buttermilk, is within Lake George Wild Forest. So I've been working with Ron for about the past year or so to move forward with a contract, if it's approved, to do some much needed maintenance work in that area. Unfortunately, it's DEC, we just don't have the operations staff to complete this work, and we hope that partnering with the town highway department, we can get some of this work done. It involves just basic maintenance of the campsites, replacing privies, fixing fireplaces, replacing picnic tables to bring the campsites back into ADA compliance, as well as working on parking lots, blocking them off, spreading gravel, just basic maintenance needs. So the contract would be spread over 3 years to complete this work, so that it wouldn't be taken away from, the duties that Ron needs to accomplish normally with the highway department. So we'd be able to work together, to be flexible that way, to fit it in on downtime. And then I would be there for most, if not all of the work, to get the crew up and running for the day, and to go over, what the work's gonna involve. So I would be directly overseeing the work, but, Ron and his crew are really the experts with the operation there. Does anyone have any questions about?
Just one, what about the material for like the privies? They get hard used
They
up
do.
there. It's a
Yeah.
hard used area. And I live around River Road. It's,
Yeah, so the department would be supplying all of the material, picnic tables, privies. I would be taking care of the gravel purchases, boulders, most of them are already on site.
So
So,
basically man force.
yes, exactly. Yeah.
All right, no other questions? All right, thank you
I
very
know,
much.
I know Mike had a question.
I don't
He's
remember
not
what it is,
here.
yeah.
He never texted me his questions that he wanted done.
I believe.
They are also in contract with town of Warrensburg to do from our big parking lot up.
It is the
So
majority.
they're starting that, aren't they soon?
Yes, actually, we start tomorrow morning. Yep, before
So
it's
we're not the only town helping out and doing this.
I believe Mike's concern was primarily
If anything
What if
comes
the-
back on us, right?
that, and what if the scope, what if we underestimated the cost?
Sure, that's a great question. So I think we've been working with Ron since, I want to say 2019 to do this work, and unfortunately, the funding hasn't come through, but now we have it, and that's why we're moving forward. So we've been, in discussion about the scope of work. We met on site a couple of times. And you'll be reimbursed based on the hours worked, both with the people and the equipment. And so I'll be on site to oversee all of it. The scope of work is the guideline.
Has Ron got a figure on reimbursement for personnel as well as equipment? What they do actually reimburse us for?
Yes,
Hmm.
yeah, it's broken down by, hourly rate for piece of equipment. And so we've had some discussions regarding that. And if the scope of work isn't fully completed, we could roll it into another contract depending on the availability of that. that's honestly pretty good. There's other work that we're willing to do, I should feel about it.
Will be the window of when they would work on it, be preseason or postseason?
Well, that would again be up to Ron and without. Yeah.
And just so everybody out there knows, this is roughly a $50,000 contract from DEC to the town of Lake Luzerne, to the road department. So that's where we're starting there. So it's not coming out of the general fund. All right, thank you.
Thank you for your
Thanks.
time.
Thank you for coming.
Mary Ellen Allison, you're next. We'll talk about housing.
I've already talked to you once about this, and I just don't want it to get pushed to the side. Again, I'm asking the town to really consider either a housing committee or maybe even a community planner. It would help with things like what many small Adirondack towns are facing, loss of homes to short-term rental businesses like Airbnb. I know that a town needs all levels of housing to make its community, but in the current situation that we're in with COVID and what Mr. Baker referenced, people moving up here, finding prices cheaper, what's happening is our young people are being priced out and there aren't homes available at an, I don't want to use the word affordable, I want to use the word reasonable, at a reasonable price because they're being over, other people are outbidding them. They have, because they're coming from a different financial background. So I'm asking the town to address this. I know you said that the town is, but there are many other small Adirondack towns that have already addressed this and would be willing to share the information with us. I've had a lengthy conversation with Daniel Kieferbach from Old Forge. He works for Living ABK, and it's a not-for-profit organization that helps deal with some of these issues that small towns are facing. Programs like deed restrictions, which are voluntary on the part of the homeowner. The community works with them, with people that own homes that would be willing to put a codicil on their deeds saying that that house, when it is sold, would be sold to be a family home, not a short-term rental. It would always stay a residence. So even if somebody bought the home, if they rented it, it would be a long-term rental, not just 6 weeks. It would be at least a year. And there are programs written for that. And this organization does fundraising to help with the legal costs to have those things done. There are programs that are partnering elderly people that are living in very large homes with younger families that might be looking for a home, and some of these larger homes might have like a mother-in-law apartment or a small cottage, and it works to the benefit of both parties. There are other programs out there that we could be looking to rather than sitting back and waiting for the county to solve our problem. The biggest issue that I see is when we lose our young people, we're losing our volunteer base. And if we lose our volunteer base, you're going to be looking at paying for things that people do voluntarily, like the fire department, like the ambulance squad. I don't know how much those people make right now, but it's a volunteer fire department, and we can't have our town without services. And if we continue to lose young people in our community, we're not going to have that. I just feel like the town needs to form a committee. Right now, I know there are COVID funds available, and I don't think anybody would say that the housing issue wasn't made worse by COVID. So you have that. Just to piggyback off what Mr. Baker was saying, we have a large population of young children who really have had some issues with socialization because of COVID. I do have a colleague with me that was concerned about, like, what about the youth commission that the town used to have? Is that going to be restarted to help with the children? That's all part of community building. And housing and communities are important in our town, and I don't really feel like this should be shoved to the side.
Some of the stuff that you're mentioning, I mean, is there literature out yet?
I have a few, thank you for asking. I have a couple of articles from the Adirondack Explorer magazine, this month's issue,
Mhm.
and they're apropos to this whole subject. And one is based in Lake Placid. The other one is general Adirondack area. And it gives you some ideas of solutions that are in the process now. And there are programs that when I spoke to Mr. Peterbach, he would be willing to speak to anybody in our community to get a program up and going.
And would you like to help us start this group?
I told you in the beginning, I would volunteer to help do whatever I can because this is important to our community.
What,
How about, Tracy?
yeah. That's what I'm at. What capacity would the group have? Meet on a regular basis and make recommendations?
I'm asking you for that guidance. I'm to the board. I'm just bringing an issue to you.
All right, we have somebody that works for us on planning, going to do our comprehensive plan. Maybe she. can
Tracy
help us out.
Cloutier, is referring to her.
I think that it's important that the town lead the development instead of having developers lead what's going on in our town. I think the town board should be in charge of, or at least overseeing what happens, instead of having a developer come in and say, this is what I'm doing. If the town has a plan, you can say, this is what we envision. Can you work within that? It just makes sense to me.
All right, well, thank you for coming. Appreciate your
And
time.
What about the youth commission? I know that's
That's something was stopped about 2 years ago when COVID came in because we didn't do it. And we didn't know in the budget time in November of last year, Town of Hadley, Stony Creek and us, and none of us knew what was going to happen this year. So something we have to look in for maybe next year. It's too late right now, but maybe next year.
because that could also be considered a COVID issue, getting the socialization up and going for young children. It's just something that we should keep in mind.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to open the public right now to ask any questions on our resolutions that's coming up right now. Anything else, we'll hold it to the end of the meeting. All right, so if anybody has a question here, I have to ask out in the Zoom world, are you hearing us all right? Just raise your hand, yes, no? Okay. As long as we know they're getting it. All right. All right, so let's start with our resolutions. Is there any questions from anybody out in Zoom world right now? What questions for us? All right, well, how about anybody here in the audience here? All right, Cindy, you want to start reading off the resolution for us?
Resolution 73 of 2022, resolution to pay the bills of the fifth abstract general fund number 28696 to 28748 and 28757 to 28759 in the amount of $35,222.66. Highway fund numbers 28658 to 28695, 28755 to 28756 in the amount of $23,122.29. Lake Luzerne Water 28749 to 28752 in the amount of $616.52, and Hudson Grove Water 28753 to 28754, $50. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Paul and Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, carried. Resolution 74 of 2022, resolution to accept the town board meeting minutes of March 14 and March 29.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 75 of 2022, resolution waiving the 30-day advance notice for Utopia Adirondack LLC liquor license application. Resolved that the town waives the 30-day advance notice for the liquor license application of Utopia Adirondack LLC. Is there a motion?
Make a
I'll
motion.
make a motion.
Second? Jean?
Yeah, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, carried. Resolution 76 of 2022, resolution to accept proposal of Jeffrey Honeywell Esquire. Resolved that the proposal of Jeffrey Honeywell Esquire to investigate compliance of workplace culture pursuant to Executive Law, Article 15, at a rate not to exceed $250 per hour is accepted, and is further resolved that Supervisor Molino is hereby authorized to take the necessary actions to accept said proposal. Is there a motion?
Make a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Do we have a little discussion?
Yeah.
One discussion, yeah.
Should we put a cap on it? Not to exceed 10 hours.
I guess my thought would be not to. You don't want to necessarily, if you're concerned about having an investigation, hamstringing what can be investigated or the depth of it at the forefront, you might want to say, having some check-in points to make sure that it's proceeding expeditiously and not kind of a wild goose chase. But I guess I'd be a little bit concerned about putting too tight of a leash on it if you're genuinely interested in investigating a situation and investigating to make sure that you're in compliance with all the workplace laws and policies. I'd just be afraid of hamstringing it a little bit.
Would
too
it be
much.
a problem though, if we go and say, after 10 hours of work, he checks in and gives a report?
I would think that's fine.
Okay. And as the thing progresses, okay, just checking in and letting us know exactly where we stand in the whole situation.
That would make me more comfortable.
So to have reports at every 10-hour interval or
Yeah. I think that would
Yeah.
be sufficient.
I just don't want to have a bomb dropped on us.
so to amend the resolution then to have Mr. Honeywell provide an update or a report, status report
In writing.
in writing at each 10 hours.
Intervals.
I don't know what the,
I'll change my motion to agree with that right there.
who seconded it. Can't remember.
Tim,
Yes.
You agree with that, Tim?
Yes, I do. That's it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'd like to abstain, please.
Carried. Resolution 77 of 2022, resolution authorizing and approving the hiring of Christopher Cassay as part-time employee. Whereas the town board has determined that it is in the best interest of the town to hire Christopher Cassay as a part-time employee to perform the services of Zoom operator for all town meetings. Now therefore be it resolved that Christopher Cassay is hired as part-time employee to perform the services of Zoom operator for all town meetings at the rate of $75 per meeting. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion. He's done a great job for us and we got it really going. We appreciate it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 78, resolution authorizing and approving the hiring of Cheryl Traver as a part-time employee. Whereas the town board has determined that it is in the best interest of the town to hire Cheryl Traver as a part-time employee to clean the municipal complex at a rate of $15 per hour for up to 5 hours per day, not to exceed 3 days per week. Now therefore be it resolved that Cheryl Traver is hired as a part-time employee to perform cleaning the municipal complex limited to the above stated rate. Is there a motion?
I'll make it.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 79, resolution authorizing and approving the hiring of Lonnie Rumpf as a full-time employee. Whereas the town board has determined that it's in the best interest of the town to hire Lonnie Rumpf as a full-time 40-hour employee in the Buildings and Ground Department. Now therefore be it resolved that Lonnie Rumpf is hired as full-time employee to perform the duties of the Buildings and Grounds Department.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 80, resolution authorizing and approving the hiring of Buildings and Grounds part-time employees. Whereas the town board has determined that it is in the best interest of the town to hire Joseph Harder, Heather Fosmer, and Raymond Benoit as part-time employees for the Buildings and Grounds Department. Now therefore be it resolved that Joseph Hart, Heather Fosmer, and Raymond Benoit are hired as part-time employees in the Buildings and Grounds Department. Is there a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Question in a minute. You gentlemen asked me to find out if you can do work at 17 years old. This is 40 pages of the employment policy of the state of New York, and there's not one word in here. If I couldn't find out if you can cut the grass or I want, but we'll work on it. I called a lot of different groups in the county. They kept sending me this, but it's mostly talks about 16 and under. So just so I let you know, I did look into it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 81 of 2022, resolution to purchase 2 John Deere mowers, model number Z735M Z Track from Deere and Company. Whereas the town is in need of 2 lawn mowers and has solicited quotes from B&B Equipment, Emmerich Sales and Service, John Deere and Company, and Green Management LLC. And whereas it has been determined that this is in the best interest of the town to accept the quote from John Deere and Company for model number Z735M Z-Track at a price not to exceed $7,360.99 per mower. Now therefore be it resolved that the town authorizes the purchase of 2 model number Z735M Z-Track at a price not to exceed $7,360.99 per mower from John Deere and Company. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 82 of 2022, resolution authorizing payments from occupancy tax funds. Resolved, the town board hereby authorizes to the following payments from occupancy tax funds: Lake Luzerne Chamber, $5,000, Lake Luzerne Folk School, $5,000, South Warren Snowmobile Club, $5,000, Lake Luzerne Music Center, $3,000, Lake Luzerne Senior Center, $2,000. You're going to keep that on there, Gene?
That is
Yes,
for
is that
conscience.
different? Okay,
Yeah, that's
Okay.
not gonna come out of our tax.
Okay,
because it does, our tax money is anticipated, you will draw people into your town to see what the town has. This is just gonna come out of the senior budget. Senior center budget.
Lake Luzerne Historical Society, $3,000. Pam Moran, historian, $2,500 for local history day and the pug parade. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
At the same time, I'd like to take a look at adding some other ones.
Yep,
Okay.
Yep.
In the next meeting.
yeah, as I reported to the board last month, well, no, 2 weeks ago at our meeting, the town is gonna receive $22,000 more in hot cats this year over the 30 that we normally get. The county had a great winter. That ice castle brought in a lot of people. They paid a lot of taxes. They paid a lot of bed taxes. And all the towns are getting extra money, up and above the 30,000.
Get some of the kids in that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 83 of 2022, resolution clarifying Medicare Part B premium payments for eligible retired town employees. Resolved, the town board hereby reiterates and clarifies Resolution 17 of 2007, which established that the town would pay the Medicare Part B payments for certain retirees. The town board hereby acknowledges and clarifies that the town will pay the entire premium of the eligible retirees' Part B premium payments. And it is further resolved that the above referenced eligible retirees may be reimbursed for any out-of-pocket Part B premium payments between January of 2014 and May of 2022 upon providing the town with documentary proof of said payments. Is
Make a
there a
motion.
motion?
Make a motion.
Anybody make that motion?
Yes, let me know. Motion.
I'll second it. And I got just a thing. We're gonna pass this right now, but it's really not, we're not ready again. I know we promised you we'd have it from last Monday, but Colleen was out with pneumonia this whole week and we just couldn't get the numbers together. But we will have them for you and we'll proceed with this resolution.
We also got to look at, like I said, on the January of 2014 and make sure it was that, and it was in 2013. Yes.
All right. So,
Yeah, I think somebody was gonna check into Social Security.
Yeah.
To get us the numbers.
well, the people have to send us their receipts for Social Security, so we have the right numbers.
So should we table this then?
Well, we don't have to table it, but I don't want it to go forward until we get the full amount of the people, the numbers, but if you want to table, bring it up next meeting, we'll start then. That's up to the board.
It's my opinion that I agree with what this says, but I think we should know the numbers.
Well, let's table it until we know the numbers, then to be safe. Let's get our,
Sammy?
yeah, let's just,
All right, so we'll
make sure we get
table
our
it, but
numbers.
it'll come up and we'll get it done.
Yeah, so do a table, yeah, motion.
I'll make the motion to table.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. It's a motion to convene the water board.
All right, we need a motion, we need a motion to go into the water board. I need a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 84, 2022, resolution to set the 22-23 Hudson Grove water rate. Resolved that the town board hereby establishes the 2022-23 rate for the SW2 Hudson Grove Water District at $500 per hookup. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now I need a motion to come out of water board.
Nope, you got one more.
One
in
more? I'm
water.
sorry about that. Okay, go ahead.
Resolution 85, resolution to remove account 8104 from SW2. Resolved, sufficient evidence being shown, the town board hereby removes account 8104 for Joan from the SW2 customer billing system, and it's further resolved that the 2021-22 charges to that account be removed. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Now we need the motion to come out of the water board, please.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 86 of 2022, resolution to pay Labella Associates invoices. Resolved that the town board hereby authorizes payment of invoices from Labella Associates totaling $25,501.29.
Make a motion.
I'll second it.
This is for the dam one,
Yeah.
right?
This is the dam.
This is the damn
This is the
engineering course.
This is the second invoice?
This is the one. Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 87, resolution to appropriate contingency funds for zoning enforcement officer salary increase. Resolved, the town will appropriate from the contingency funds in the amount of $2,700 as a salary increase for the zoning enforcement officer. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 88 of 2022, resolution authorizing the lease of a portion of real property to Pine Hill Association Incorporated located at Reed Park Road in the town of Lake Luzerne, County of Warren, State of New York. Whereas pursuant to section 64 of the town law of the state of New York, the town board of the town of Lake Luzerne, the town board, has the authority to lease real property of the town of Lake Luzerne. And whereas the town board has determined that a portion of the real property located on Reed Park Road, tax map number 298.11-2-23, which consists of green space and a gazebo, the leased property, is not being used for any desired town purpose and therefore is not currently needed by the town for any purpose that would benefit the residents of the town, and it is in the public interest to lease such property. And whereas the town is interested in leasing the leased property to Pine Hill Association for a 99-year term in exchange for maintenance and upkeep of the leased property for the duration of the lease term. And whereas a lease agreement for the leased property has been prepared, and whereas the consideration and proposed adoption of this resolution is a type 2 action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SEQR, for which no further environmental review is required. And whereas pursuant to town law section 64(2), this resolution is subject to permissive referendum and shall not take effect until 30 days from the date hereof pursuant to town law section 91, and that no conveyance shall be made prior to the expiration of the said 30-day period, and that no conveyance shall take place after said period if a petition has been duly filed, town law section 91, without further action of the town board. Now therefore be it resolved that section 1, the lease agreement, a copy of which is attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference for the lease of a portion of the real property located at Reed Park Road, tax map number 298.11-2-23 in the town of Lake Luzerne, to Pine Hill Association Incorporated for the aforementioned consideration is hereby approved and accepted, subject to the terms of this resolution. Section 2, the supervisor is hereby given the authority to execute the lease agreement and to execute any and all necessary documents on condition that the permissive referendum period expires with no petition being filed. Section 3, pursuant to town law section 64, this resolution is subject to permissive referendum and shall not take effect until 30 days from the date hereof pursuant to town law, section 91, and that no conveyance shall be made prior to the expiration of the 30-day period, and that no conveyance shall take place after said period if a petition has been duly filed, town law, section 91, without further action of the town board. Section 4, the town clerk is directed to publish a notice that this resolution has been adopted, subject to permissive referendum as provided for in town law, section 90. Section 5, this resolution shall take effect immediately. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. That's the resolutions.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. So need to read the whole resolution. All right, we'll move on to the rest of the meeting. We're gonna move to our attorney, Mr. Crowe. There's a few things to unlike.
It really, the only thing, and Cindy brought to my attention at last month's agenda meeting, there was resolution for like cost of living increase, 3% increase for employees who did not receive a rate increase in the budget. And then I believe in the town board meeting, and I wasn't here for it, that's the one that Carol was here for. It was enlarged to include not just employees, but elected officers. And I just wanted to make sure, if that was the intent of the town board, we need to clarify, and there's some other steps that would have to be taken. If it's not the intent of the town board, then again, clarifying it's helpful, but the other steps won't be necessary. And in terms of the other steps, if you recall, when we had to have a local law passed to increase Ron's salary because there was a typo on the public notice for the budget, we have to go through that same process in order to increase the salary of an elected official from what was budgeted. We have to pass the local law establishing what that new salary is. So I guess that's something that I'll look for the town board's direction on at the agenda meeting.
You don't want to bring it up now, move it forward?
Well, it's going to take, we'll have to put it together for next month's meeting, so I can't just.
Okay. Do you need any kind of a VA? Or
If there's I guess a feeling as to the direction, that's fine. We can-
I think the board's in the direction of moving that, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we'll have to just, you'll make up like a permissive referendum, have a public hearing.
Right, it goes through the whole local law process.
Okay.
now the entire town board and the supervisor did not want that 3%.
Okay.
Am I correct?
That is true.
Gene?
But they had the judges and Ron, Cindy. But we'll move forward for the permissive referendum. Then
Okay.
at that time, if the town board or any of us not want to raise that.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Anything else? How about the truck?
Yeah, what's going on with the pickup truck?
So,
Yeah, I think Ron is going to reject both bids and rebid it to have a plow and a sander attached.
Okay, all right, we'll let Ron bring that up. Okay, thank you. All right, Councilman Hanlon. Any reports?
As far as workplace violence committee, I checked with the bookkeeper. We have nothing on file officially. There's nothing on file with the town. Should check with her.
Mr. Lowenowski,
That's
Nothing this month.
Mr. Niles?
Nothing.
Okay,
Well, I do have one announcement. Tomorrow is tomorrow is the first meeting of the town advisory committee. starting work on the updating of the comprehensive town master plan.
And that's open to the public too, right?
It is.
All right, looks like supervisor's next. The only thing I have is, I just want to thank Ron for really all the help that we have since we have problems at the picking up garbage. Helping us with an employee that has a CDL license. And also, Ron and I had a meeting today on looking at some repairs. People have been calling about roads and repairs. And we hit 2 roads that I think we're going to take care, Ron's going to take care of his crew. One is going to be done before July 4th, we hope. And the other one is out on River Road, and that's a bigger project. It should be done by the end of the year. And the one that's, okay, what's the name of that street we're on? Where did we go up in the Heights? Village View. Yeah. Yeah, that's what we were up there in Village View. It's pretty bad. And the board had approved last year to get the buildings and grounds, a parking lot paved. We didn't get a chance to get it. It was first on the list this year. I agreed with Ron. We're gonna put that off hopefully to the end of the season if we can, to get this road up, because that road's pretty bad up there. So, and that's about all I have. Oh, one more thing. I got a couple of emails today, and I thank you to my wife who's sitting in the back, looked it up for me on the internet, which I didn't know what it was. People are looking to change some of our tennis courts into pickleball courts. Pickleball court. I said the same thing, but we looked it up on the internet. It's a growing trend in towns, and people, this club here that I have here has over 300 members. And I have to look into what it would, what it would take, but it's what I heard or what I was told, it's basically striping on our courts. There's no digging or anything like that. To stripe the courts to fit in this kind of a pickleball court and have some of those in the town. So if the board is agreeable, I will look into it and see what's the cost of the painting and what we can do to make some people happy.
Do you know offhand, would that make it unusable as a tennis court?
No, it's just stripes.
Just stripes, so you can do either.
Yeah, do you know anything about it? You putting your head.
I say, I was gonna ask the same question. I have no idea what pickleball is.
Anybody in
Here to
the
tell you.
audience play pickleball?
It's a lot of fun.
I don't play it, it's almost started with seeds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It makes a smaller tennis court.
Yeah.
It looks like a tennis, miniature tennis.
right.
With smaller rackets and different kinds of balls.
The paddle, yeah, I have that here. It's a paddle. So it basically doesn't hurt our tennis courts. We just, yeah, the net has to come down just a little bit. It's a couple inches lower, so we'll have some kind of a thing that they can crank it down and get the stripes, but I gotta get the cost on it. So,
Not in the senior reports. I certainly don't play that sport.
well, all right, so if the board has no objection, I will look.
Yeah, I
into it.
think we'll check it out.
I'm fine with it. Sounds like
Oh,
fun.
you-
Well,
played it?
a couple of years ago.
Enlighten us.
So in other words, you're Stanley?
Yeah.
All right,
It is.
and that's it.
Ball's plastic, it's slow.
All right, let's get back to the meeting. That's about the end of my report.
Go for it.
All right,
If it
Ron,
helps
now
the
highway,
townspeople,
please.
go for it.
What's that?
Might be the biggest coach there is.
Go ahead, you're up.
I'm up, all right.
Pickleball champion.
It is spring cleanup this week, and there'll be another one to follow after July 4th. And we've been down on Hawk Road, changing culverts, ditching, and brushing. That's one of the roads that will be overlaid and paved this year.
We gotta make out the truck.
The truck.
The pickup truck,
What's that?
the pickup truck.
You have to decline the bids,
Oh, I have to decline them?
recommend it.
decline.
You're recommending to us.
Talking with Gene and lawyer there, we are declining the bids to rebid it with different specs that include a sander and plow. That it?
That's it.
That's all you gotta
And
do?
that, Mr.
All right.
Attorney will take care of that. We'll
Cool.
get it out and publication, and hopefully we can get this truck done and over with.
Ron, would it be worthwhile to look into the same company that leases that you guys just went through for the larger trucks? Is it still possible?
Well, they can get a bid from us. I mean, we can mail one, let them know.
My opinion, I would like to save up money and buy equipment without going through any loan or anything, having to pay interest and all that. But not my call.
Well, plain and simple, then you're looking at a reserve fund that needs to be set up. And take a certain portion of your budget and put it in the reserve fund every year.
Reserve fund or an equipment fund, either or.
You gotta make sure when you do that, you look at how it is stated into it. Equipment is one thing, vehicles is another one. We did it with the firehouse. If it is not done correctly, and you put it in for equipment and not vehicles, and you need a truck, you can't take the money out of there and put it into there. They have very strict guidelines.
Oh, I think
Where
So
can
you
I
have
get
to
that
designate
information?
Exactly.
this attorney can take care of it.
Do you know, can you give me that information? On the equipment fund? Which capital equipment fund that I can start? Sure. I would like some information on that.
Yeah, well, all it is what he's saying. It's,
Yes,
this is the
you put
law.
it in and it's for a certain thing.
Right,
But
you
I
can't
want
buy a
those-
truck out of it. You
I
can only
want
buy
the
the equipment
information
for
on
the
there.
truck. Right.
Yep.
All right, we'll get you that information.
I just feel that's a smarter way to go than pay interest on loans and all that.
Okay. All right, we'll move on. Town clerk Cynthia Sherwood.
Okay, I have a couple of pieces of correspondence here. I also put in your box from Melissa, some information about Juneteenth being an official national federal holiday, and she'd like you to take a look at that. This is from, I have a letter from, and I put it in your Cynthia, it was a pleasure speaking with you on Wednesday. Per our discussion, please pass this along to the supervisor, town board, and anyone else who might need it. My name is Maria Willett, and I currently reside in Brant Lake. I've lived in Brant Lake for 20 years, before that, since birth in South Glens Falls. My husband and I, as well as my children, have always been involved in the community and serving the community. I was a Cub Scout leader for 10 years, as well as a committee chair. I was a Little League coach. I was involved in the local volunteer fire department for 6 years, secretary and interior firefighter. I have been employed full-time by Change Healthcare for 26 years. For the last 5 years, I've been the sole proprietor of Chili Willie's ice cream truck out of Brant Lake part-time. One of my acquaintances is Claudia Libret, a second grade teacher at Corinth Elementary School. The second grade class is planning a field trip to the Hadley Luzerne Park on June 16th. As a treat, they've asked me to bring the ice cream truck to hand out treats to the kids for 45 minutes around the noon hour. I will be invoicing the class, but have agreed to do it for the cost of goods only. I believe in always doing for the kids and for them to have an awesome memory. I have no intent to sell, solicit, or vend to any individuals in your jurisdiction. Luzerne is a distance from my small one-man truck business to travel. I will not solicit, vend, or sell in Hadley, Luzerne at any other time. I understand there's a town requirement for a solicitor and or vendor permit, and there is an option for daily permit and also insurance requirement. I have a state health certificate. I can supply an insurance certificate, having the town named as an additional insured. As for the cost of the application, that would be a burden to me personally. I'm not doing this for profit. It would come out of my personal funds. I also understand the laws of the town. I will not ring a bell or play music while in the town. I am asking the town for a one-time waiver of the fee, which for an out-of-town resident is $50 for a one-day vendor permit, only to deliver ice cream to the second grade class at the Corinth School at the Hadley Luzerne Park on June 16th. I sent an email back to her because she keeps referring to it as the Hadley Luzerne Park. And I'm wondering if she means our park
The pavilion.
or the Hadley Park where there's swings and things for second grade kids to do. She has not replied to me at this point about this. Up there, okay. I mean, I did not want to, I can't say to her that I can waive that fee or whatever, so that's why I brought the letter to you. But I kind of thought she might have this. I asked her, are you talking about Route 9N Park across from the school or Hadley, which is a whole different town? She hasn't answered me yet. So that was that letter.
Well, in case she's looking at our park, I'd like to say maybe we should waive it at $50 for the kids in school.
I didn't try to motion on that yet.
Okay, so that,
I
If
agree.
it is in our park.
if it is in our park, we'll be prepared for it. And she, tells you it is. So we'll waive we'll make a
And
motion.
she supplies the certificates that she says she has
Mhm.
and waive it for the kids.
Okay,
I'll second that.
that's good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
this is in case,
Contingent upon.
contingent upon it really being Lake Luzerne.
Right.
Which you're probably right, Mary Ellen. Okay, I also gave you a letter from Eileen Hickey, Supervisor Merlino, and members of the town board. My name is Eileen Hickey. I own a seasonal property at number 23 6th Avenue in Lake Luzerne. I've been a 3-season resident of Lake Luzerne for over 50 years, and I'm an active volunteer in the community. I'm writing this letter to inquire about the kayak stands that were removed last spring, 2021, without any notification or input from the community. For more years than I can count, boats have been able to be docked on the shore at the end of Sylvan Lane, which is all town property. Before the kayak stands were built, boats were left on the sandy area or chained up to trees. Once the kayak stands and posts were put in, people continued to leave their kayaks and small boats there. In all the years I've been coming to Lake Luzerne and using my kayak, there's never been an issue until last year. The moving of the kayak stands was done clandestinely and as I said, without input from the public who use those stands and store their boats there for the summer. Many of the people who put their boats on the sandy area where the kayak stands used to be are people of middle age and above. With the new location, it's very difficult, if not impossible, for some of these people to carry a kayak or canoe by themselves. Speaking for myself, I know that I was not able to use my kayak last summer unless I had someone help me carry it from the present site of the kayak stands to the water, which is a good distance away. Therefore, I was not able to take my kayak out on the lake as much as I usually do. Last year, I submitted a petition with the names of several people who were upset about the kayak stands being moved. Mr. Fazio and Mr. Waterhouse, who I know is no longer involved, met with me and another concerned citizen at the present site of the kayak stands. We explained the hardship that moving the kayak stands had caused and the fact that it was never discussed in a public forum. Mr. Fazio and Mr. Waterhouse told us that the kayak stand were moved because people were illegally parking on the Sylvan Lane, which is a fire lane. I walk there every day and I've never seen anyone illegally parked. Mr. Fazio told us that the residents who live on that end of the street did not like looking out at the kayak stands. He said they pay taxes. I reminded him that the rest of us also pay taxes in Lake Luzerne. They told us that they would come up with some kind of solution. We've not heard from anyone. In all honesty, the only solution is to move the kayak stands back to where they were. They should never have been moved in the first place without input from the community. The fate of the kayak stands should not have been or continue to be dictated by a few property owners on the street. Boats have been stored there for over 50 years, long before some of these property owners resided in Lake Luzerne. I would also like to point out that all of the beach area on Sylvan Lane is owned by the town of Lake Luzerne, according to town maps. It is not and should not be used as a private beach for residents who live in that area. I know some of the residents who live close by have taken advantage of the spot, and perhaps that's why they do not like the boats being close to the water. But once again, all of that waterfront is town property right up to what would be the old Indian Trail. None of those houses own lakefront. It's a fire lane and it's not supposed to be used as a private or public beach for anyone. For over 5 decades, that area has been a spot where property owners in the Heights and in Lake Luzerne could store their non-motorized watercraft for easy access to the lake. That's what that area should be returned to, and using it as a beach should be strictly forbidden. Thank you for your time. I will try to attend the meeting Monday night. I hope the members of the town board can put aside their differences and come to a quick solution for the residents of Lake Luzerne and Lake Luzerne Heights. Sincerely, Eileen Connolly, Mickey. That's what I have.
All right, you have any comments on the board?
I'm not familiar with the situation.
Any suggestions?
I think we'd have to probably talk to Councilman Fazio to catch up on what you got the speed on it, because I'm unfamiliar with this. I know the area, but I don't know what conversation went at that time with this citizen. Like to,
I would wonder if there is a parking problem. I would also wonder if it's correct that it's all town property. You know, Karen, or could you look for me?
No matter how this thing goes, I will not be part of the vote on this. Being a resident on that street.
understood.
Okay. I have been on that street for a total of 68 years. Okay. I've got pictures at my home that I can prove that property has not been used for over 5 decades, showing that it was full of lily pads. It was owned by the 2 sisters that owned Skimmerhorn property. Okay, and that property and the beach down there was not used by anybody else until Mr. Marino and the board at that time allowed it to happen. I will show you pictures. Well, I got you beat, ma'am, and I'm not gonna get in an argument with you. I'm saying I have removed myself from the vote, but I will prove to you and everybody else that you did not have a boat down there, because there was no boats down there at that time.
I had a boat down there.
All right.
Not disagreeing. Not disagreeing. But this is when the town board allowed it. Okay? I've been on that street since I was 22 months old.
The mother owns the house. So I know.
That is correct.
All right, maybe it's something we can get together and look at, maybe make some kind of adjustment and get back to the people. So,
My feeling is, okay, yes, Mr. Fazio, Mr. Waterhouse said, I do pay taxes. So do you. I'm not disagreeing. And I want you to use the lake. But you've got to also look at my point. I have a very small lot and I pay assessed valuation on that very small lot, not the house, at $65,000, where you people up in the Heights are paying 30 for the same size.
Okay, I pay a lot more than 30 on the lake.
You have lakefront.
My question is.
Why don't you use your lakefront?
What my question is, how did that even happen? How did this petition come about without any meeting, any input, any notification to people who put their votes in?
It was brought up to.
No, so I went down last year and there was a painted sign that said no kayaks. And the next week, the kayaks came home.
No.
And yes, and nobody asked any of us if, who got the petition?
Who what?
The people on the street complained,
Yes.
and so because 2 families complain, everybody else has to be.
Well, answer me this. Myself personally, like I said, I enjoy the people using the lake.
No, you don't, because.
Now, hold on.
People, including
No.
myself and my.
I want to move,
husband.
I would like to move the kayaks closer to the lake for you people. right behind the town bathhouse, which gives you adequate parking, a nice grassy area to walk in. If somebody falls or gets hurt, there's lifeguards there to take care of you and everything else.
That would be an accident waiting to happen, with cars trying to drive through that parking lot, with people going to the beach and children running around. I don't drive to my kayak, I walk to it. But the whole training, there was never any notification that this was gonna happen. One day they were there, and the next day they were somewhere else. Yeah, and nobody was informed, nobody was asked, it was just a decision because a board member and a couple of homeowners didn't like where they've been for the last 50 years. So I'm just curious how that happened.
I did not bring it to the townspeople.
Nobody probably. didn't
Other
hear.
people on that road did.
Well, and I'm sure you had some input there, because I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been there when you have come up to me, you can tell my wife, you get up to me and my husband, you can, her husband.
Okay.
Complained about the fire stand, the neighbors who you told during COVID that they couldn't put their children in to go in the water there.
That is correct.
That's not your problem.
That beach area is not a beach area.
I know.
Under the state of New York. Hold on, under the state of New York,
All right, one at a time, one at a time.
under the state of New York, you cannot enter the water to go tubing or swimming.
Family personally use that?
No,
Yes.
Yes, they have.
I swim off of,
Family has used that
They
beach
go down
many
there.
Franklin
times.
Sources property, Glenn,
It's the young girls, I've seen them there many times,
not me.
so you're lying to these people.
I have told those people that are in
All
my
right,
family.
time out, time out, time out. All right, let us, the board members, especially some of the new ones.
Great girls.
All right, time out. And we'll go look at it and maybe we can figure out a solution to move them someplace else.
Are you gonna open this up to public comment right now? 'Cause you're not in public comment.
We're not in the, you know. Well, it is public comment.
You have,
I just want to know how it ever happened.
Yeah, nope.
I mean, just, it's town property, correct?
Oh, I
Where,
did.
where the,
I don't believe that.
okay,
All right, hold on a
So,
minute, hold on a
just-
minute. I didn't open to the public yet. But questions, we got into it after Cindy read the letter. That always happens. We jump into something and we keep moving. So we said enough. I'd appreciate if we just hang in there for a little while longer. We will bring some of the newer people. I'll wait for Mike to come when I get with Paul. And we'll go look and see if we can put our heads together and do something. So that subject come right now, please, it's an end. Now I'm gonna open it for other public comments. No, it's all public comment. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I know. I keep forgetting you. Karen,
You want me to go now?
I want Karen to go now, the zoning officer.
Okay, you have my zoning report, which you can review at your own time. I did send a second one out today because I had left out, I had put an incomplete sentence in there and I finished it. Basically, I will bring up what that was because of Mary Ellen Allison's comments tonight.
All right, let's hold it, give her a little respect.
I wanted you to note that in the permits that have been issued from the beginning of this year to now, we have 8 new home permits in there. And looking at where they are and who they are, a lot of those are retiree people. So I was just bringing that to your attention, if you want to look at that. Other than that, my report will stand as it is. I wanted to let you know that I have ordered the signs that we talked about in the past regarding land use and zoning and land use and building permits being required in the town. I've ordered them from the Warren County DPW. They're in the process of being made. Originally, I reported that I spoke with Kevin Hajos, who's the superintendent there. And he advised me to have them made as a regulatory sign, which are the white with the red lines around them. when the person that actually is going to make the signs got hold of the job order, he called me and he is advising us to go with the typical brown and gold colors because the Adirondack Park Agency prefers that signs be in the natural neutral colors rather than the regulatory signs. And there are specific laws about those regulatory signs, which he didn't feel that this was falling into. So we did change and we're having them done in the brown and the gold colors. The other thing that I wanted to report on was that after Mr. Reed's presentation, I spoke with Matt Kendall at the Adirondack Park Agency to find out about he had informed me that if the town moves forward with doing this map amendment, again, it will not be a resubmittal. They have to do a whole new application. The park has redone what they do and it's a new application. And in that process, the town would be responsible for filling out the seeker form, which it would be a long form, part 1 of the long form. And so I spoke with him about that because there was discussion about whether it was going to cost the town money to hire like an engineering firm or something to do that if the town decided to move forward with this. And he felt that the people that have been working on these applications would have enough knowledge of the situation to be able to fill out that form without hiring an engineer. So after speaking with him, I did call Mr. Reed, who had made the presentation, to let him know that the form, I wanted to know whether the form that he had provided to me for the agenda meeting, which I gave out to you gentlemen, was the new application or was he doing it as a resubmittal? What he had me hand out at the agenda meeting to you is not the new application, so you can discard it. And he did not know about the environmental form, but he informed me when I spoke to him that he has hired a new lawyer and he is going to ask that he is withdrawing his request right now to do that application. He may come back with it at a later date, but for now he's withdrawing his request for the town to do that application. So I wanted to let you know that. The other thing that I have to report is I understand that Friday we got in another application for a deputy zoning person. And I know that you still have to interview for the constable positions. And I'm hoping that you can interview this person at that time and consider them along with the other applicants that we've got for that position. I did speak with him for a bit on the phone when he called and asked about the position. He interned with Alan Saheim before. Apparently he's been to college and interned with Alan as zoning and he enjoyed it. Right now he works real estate and he was very interested. We didn't talk about money. We didn't talk about anything other than it was part-time and where I thought the position would be headed in the future. But he did come in on Friday. I do not work Friday, so I wasn't here to speak with him, but he filled out an application and has left it. And I understand that Colleen has distributed it, I hope, to you through your email. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Can we set up the interviews?
Yes, that's a little.
You going there now?
Yeah, let's do that now before we forget it, all right? So we'll have 4 people to come in for interview, 2 for constable, 2 for zone. Of what?
I'll ask Colleen to provide you with one.
All right, what's your pleasure, Tom?
When I,
It's important. We ought to do it as quick as we can.
quick as we can, it's fair to give them a couple days notice. to
Yeah, no.
Inform them.
The constable fellows,
He's home. Yeah, he's back. Yeah,
Back?
he actually asked me today. I said, well, I'm sure we'll come up to tonight's business and we'll get back to you. So. What day is good for you, for everybody? We give them a couple days notice.
Not, yeah, not tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm busy tomorrow.
The other meeting is
I
tomorrow.
don't know if it helps, but I'm having a zoning board of appeals meeting Thursday at 7. I don't know if you want to do them before that or not. Well, I don't know. But there's that option.
What about Wednesday? Is that too soon?
I won't be there Wednesday. Yeah.
Zoning board's
Thursday, the earliest.
I mean, I'll be back to Thursday if you want to have.
Well, we're talking about how many people?
Or
Talking before.
two zoning to,
Yeah, we might not have enough time.
6 o'clock
I don't
Thursday?
know. Can you do 4 in an hour, do you think?
Yeah, well, the other ones we did,
Can we use another
6 or
room?
7 in an hour and 15 minutes. So.
Or you have to be at the zoning meeting. don't you?
I do, but you could do that interview first.
Yeah, 6 o'clock, Thursday, 7.
Okay, it's okay with me.
All right, Paul, how about you?
Thursday?
Thursday?
Thursday, 6 o'clock. Sounds good.
All right, if they
So
can't
we'll
make
put a
it, we'll-
notification in that we're gonna have.
Well, the boss just levied that one.
Can you tell me why? I don't even know why.
What a plan.
Right, and if I, yeah, I know, that's right. I'm leaving Wednesday, man. I won't be there Thursday. Thank you from the audience.
Boy, it's a good thing you got a boss in the house.
I mean, I don't have to be here. We'll have 4 of you.
do it next week, Monday or something then. I just, we were gonna be here. That was my only.
That's not Monday. Monday's fine.
The
If you
17th
want
is,
Thursday, do it. I don't have to be here. That 4 gentlemen can make it. decision.
We should together.
Yeah.
On Thursday.
Yeah, why don't we do that? If I get back in time, I'll be here, but I don't, yeah, that's right.
You ain't gonna make it.
if you have any questions, just let us know. We'll ask.
Yeah, do it.
All right, so we're gonna leave it for Thursday
What's the
at
date on
6.
that? Thursday, the what?
The 12th at 6 p.m.
6 o'clock.
Yeah, you'll have an hour to interview 4 people.
I will have the room set up for the zoning meeting, but that shouldn't
That's
interfere.
it.
Is that an official meeting?
It's an official meeting. I'd say pass a motion. It's a special meeting.
Right.
But I'd say to pass a motion for it to be Thursday,
6 o'clock.
the 12th.
Yes, the 12th.
Thursday, the 12th at 6.
When the meeting starts, we designate a temporary.
It's executive session. You can move into executive session and discuss.
Okay. All right, Paul, and it'll be, as soon as you open the meeting, it'll go right into executive session and close after, and then we can decide after that.
But I'd recommend it just pass a motion here, setting the special meeting.
All right, somebody want to make that resolution?
Yeah, I make a motion. We have a special meeting on Thursday, the 12th at 6 p.m. for the purpose of interviewing applicants
In executive session.
in executive session.
I'll second.
All right. Did you
All in
get that?
favor?
Aye.
All right. So let's go back to the public now. I hear a lot of chattering there, so we'll find out.
Gene,
Yes,
got some high school students right here.
okay. Are you ladies here for any particular reason or just to stop in and say hello? Oh, okay. All right. Have any questions for us? I'm glad you're fascinated.
Do you need something signed?
Yeah.
All right, so then we'll,
I got one question. What will happen?
well, you gotta come up front, please. So
Okay.
we get your name and you get on the YouTube and
Eileen, Hickey. I just want to know what happened with the decision for the milfoil in the lake with the boat. I was here for that meeting and. I guess it
the
got
decision was
canceled.
made to go with a company that wanted to use their own boat.
So somebody is going to.
We will have people on the lake, I don't know about when, June.
I don't know, has that contract gone out to them for signature?
I think early June, they're gonna start.
Okay, I just didn't know if it had. gone
Everything
through.
is set up for the milfoil pickers, yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, back there. Come on up.
Hi, Sonia Harris. Mary Ellen Allison had mentioned the youth commission, and it's myself that had interest in it. So is there no like playground or anything this summer either?
No,
So
there's-
that's nothing that the town thought should happen, just COVID totally stopped that?
well, right now, it's a little late to get it all together. We'd have to get the three towns together. We'd have to get the finances back in place, so. We're gonna have to wait till next year.
So you always had somebody that ran the youth commission.
Right.
Would that be a position that would be coming back? You would be looking for somebody to run that?
I can't answer that question because I gotta get the other two supervisors and get their opinion.
Because I am definitely concerned about the youth in this town.
Mhm.
There's nothing for them to do.
Correct.
And I work for a school. We're seeing it so much that these kids are all they care about is their phones, their tablets. And other towns seem to have things going on, and I don't see, I'm a lifelong resident here. I don't see where our town has anything for the youth. That worries me, especially when we want new people to come here. What are we asking them to come to? Yes, we have beautiful lakes, we have mountains, but we need more for our children.
Well, I know at one of the meetings I was at with the other gentleman, it was starting to decline a lot in the last 5 years, participation wise. I mean, can you give me an answer for that? I don't know.
I don't know that yet.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer. Maybe it was the things maybe we were offering enough.
Well, I mean, I think the board is willing to work with you, get some ideas, get a program ready,
Okay.
and then I would say early fall, we can get together with the other supervisors and see what their town's like.
Okay, because Corinth just hired a youth commission
Mhm.
person for their town also, so it looks like they're bringing it back. I know that person also ran playground, the beaches, youth commission. I mean, I remember the days of Carol Gorham and Mary Cartier running them.
Mhm.
And there was things done all year long. So that is something I would definitely be interested in
Well-
doing for the town.
Can you come to the meeting tomorrow night?
Where's,
Right here,
what time?
7.
7 o'clock it
Yes,
starts.
I will. All right,
And it's a good part of bringing up what we're trying to do
Okay.
for the future of the town.
okay, perfect, great, that's great news.
And just, I'd ask if you just send me an email with your name and
Okay,
telephone number and what your ideas are, and
Okay.
we can start talking about it.
okay, great. I have two more things. I'm so happy to hear that River Road is gonna get some work done on it. I already saw the white line, so I know where it's starting and where it's ending. I do have a concern about Pikes Beach in that area. I don't know if Mr. Jewell can answer if that's an area that's gonna be worked on with this money that's coming, or the county is that, or is it just gonna be up further?
Basically in between for this year.
Okay. So that'll be like the paving's gonna be in that area. So this money that the young ladies talked about too, that's coming, are those picnic areas down in Pikes? Is that any area that's gonna be touched?
Yes.
Yes, that's gonna be touched. Because that road looks like it's starting to wash away a little bit, like on the top where the buses park in the summertime. So like, there's definitely some concerns about that. So I'm glad to hear that
I
that's
don't
gonna
know if she has
be,
anything to do with buses.
Okay. yeah, that'll be, like, I'm worried about like that road right there because
That
it's
parking
starting to
area
wash.
will be
Yeah,
re-stoned and everything.
okay.
That would help.
All right, that'll be good to hear. Fine, one more thing is River Road, besides being paved wonderful, is the busing for the tubes. We have several tubing companies that are traveling River Road. I can't even tell you how many times a day. Somebody's gonna get hurt. I live there, I've lived there on the road for 24 years, and it's getting worse and worse. Buses are traveling so fast. I mean, we're yelling at them from our house to slow down. The speed limit's 40. Somebody's gonna get hurt and something has to be done about that. I don't know if it's DEC, I don't know if it's town. I don't know if you need to go to Dane up here and the other places and say something about the driving, we've already had a fatality. And I don't want to see it happen again. Or we can't see when the buses, they're at Pikes, they're unloading on the top. And they're literally, we have to come to a stop because they're in the road. And the trees are blocking where the buses are like pulling off the side. And like last year, my son got yelled at by one of the bus drivers because he was like, you need to stop. My son's like, I need to get through. They don't have the right just to do whatever they want. And so somebody's gonna get hurt.
No, I don't think any of us want that. I don't know what. So we're gonna have to talk about that. too. Maybe speed limits or,
I mean, it's 40. They just put speed
Yeah,
limits on
even
last year, but
speed, you know,
Just change that
Yeah.
speed limit to
Yeah.
40.
Yeah.
40.
It's the enforcement.
Yeah.
You need the police to enforce it.
Okay.
If they're not around, you enforce
I
it.
mean, I have young kids, drivers, I know, they're probably not going 40 either, but they're not carrying a whole bunch of people in tubes on the top. I mean, it's very unsafe right now. So that's all. Thank you very much. I'll be here tomorrow night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else out there?
Can I ask one thing about the night? Is that gonna be on Zoom?
Yes.
I want to go back to Ron with my personal opinion. I don't believe we should be contracting our employees out. That's not the idea of town employees. I look around on our roads, if you need a list of things to do, I can find you tons. So if he goes and works in Buttermilk, he's neglecting what we pay him to do. That $50,000, I've seen them boulders. I was just up there a couple times the last few weeks. I wouldn't be lifting those boulders with my front end loader. They're huge. So once you break something on the front end loader, who's gonna pay for it? The state? But I also want to say, have any of you people been to Buttermilk? Have you? It's a disgusting big fact. It's an eyesore, and I can't believe it's part of the Adirondack Park. I was up there a couple times recently. It's absolutely horrible, and I wouldn't even want to put my name on it. They stoned it years ago, and if you're in a wheelchair, you're heading to the river. There's nothing to stop you. Things have washed out. All the porta potties are destroyed, garbage everywhere. It's absolutely, and it's sad that you're actually making this. Tim's probably the only one that's been there, but you're making a decision that you haven't even seen it. But I don't believe that we should be contracting our employees out. You've been doing that for too many years. That's not what we hired them for. You just hired 5 people. Why don't you get rid of those 5 people? Let his guys go do that work. So you're contracting him out and you're hiring more people on. I don't get what you're paying.
Thank you for your comments.
And Cindy, did you?
That's
get it?
enough. 2 minutes is up. You can sit down. Somebody,
I'm not done.
you are done. You
I
got
have
2
questions,
minutes.
I said. Did we get anywhere on the water?
I know that we've tried, our financials go back 6 years. We've tried through our old system and our software people to access farther back from that. We've not had luck doing that. But Lori was of the opinion there was also some talk about putting in a, oh my God, pit. Another pit, is that what you're talking about over next door?
Yeah, I've been talking about it for 7 years.
Yeah, I know, but, and those costs maybe offsetting whatever we come up with.
I don't know, but the man's been double metered for 7, 8, 9 years. And I brought it to the board's attention long ago, and now you're still on it for 6 months. Could you imagine dealing with Amazon on a problem like this? How you feel after 6 months? You got nowhere?
Yeah. Well, we're working with our software
We'll
people.
contract all our employees out. Why don't you have his guys help you on that situation? Really, yeah.
Anyone else? Anybody out in Zoom world? Who is it? Mr. Herring. Mr. Herring.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I'm sorry, I got a bad connection. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, I've got a few comments, but based on that last speaker, I would like to rearrange them for a moment. Mr. Merlino, you just reminded a speaker that he had 2 minutes and he was done speaking. Let me remind you of two things. Number one, the U.S. Supreme Court says you have no authority to do that. And number two, everybody that spoke at this meeting tonight, every single one of them spoke for much more than 2 minutes. You have no authority and no right to tell people they have 2 minutes. And if you would like the United States Supreme Court citation, I would be happy to give it to you. That being said, I have a question with regards to a complaint that I filed with the board and with the zoning department several months ago. And it involved the discriminatory lack of enforcement with zoning laws. Specifically, a new electric flashing sign that was installed at the Beacon High School. The zoning department stated that they were exempt, the school district was exempt from zoning laws. My interpretation and my research says that is totally incorrect. They must abide by zoning laws. And I'm wondering why several months have gone by and I have never gotten an answer of any type from the board, the supervisor, or the zoning department with regards to the illegality of that sign.
Karen, you want to speak on that?
As I had said in the past, when we had Attorney Regan here, I was under the understanding that the schools fell under the authority of the New York State education law. I know that all of the school inspections and everything fall under their jurisdiction, and I assumed that it was the same with the signs. Apparently, Mr. Herring has some other proof that that is not so. And I had, again, back when this was originally brought up, but it was done originally back in, I think, 2014. So I wasn't even at the town at the time. It was under another person's authority at that time. But again, I assumed and understood that they fell under the jurisdiction of the New York State education law. And if that is not true, then we will have to address it.
Why would it take 3 months to even decide if you're going to address it? And secondly, that sign was put in 2021, not 2014. This is a repeated course of action in this town where it depends on who you are, who you know, and what gets enforced and what doesn't. And the real issue here is, even when I bring this to your attention and to the board's attention, you continue to ignore it. Let me also say, I pointed out in my original complaint that several of the higher courts have stressed the dangers of those type of signs in front of schools that have reduced speed limits because the signs distract the drivers and don't see the children in the road. That was in my complaint. And even with that being said, both the board, the supervisor, and the zoning department, are you telling me have taken no action whatsoever?
I have not taken any action, I can tell you that, because again, I felt it fell under the jurisdiction of the New York State Education Department. And I'm not sure that that letter was sent to me. It might have been sent to the board. I don't recall getting a copy of it in my email. you usually send letters by email. I'm not sure that I received that one, but again, I can look into it now that you, again, and I will find out if we do have jurisdiction or not, and seeing how the sign is put in, if we do have jurisdiction, we will take action on it.
Well, I quite honestly, I don't accept that as a reply. When you get a complaint of that nature, you know, there are so many other issues here. That sign is a steel frame that has electric wired to it. And you can drive by that on any given day and see kids sitting next to it, holding on to those electric posts. And you're telling me that you didn't think that there was a need for an electrical inspection, a building permit, certificate of completion, anything like that with our children at stake? And you're still going to just say, well, that's what I thought, or I didn't know. Your job is to know. And especially if you get a complaint, you should have been all over that the next day. And no, you didn't get a copy of the complaint from me, because I have sent you copies of complaints before. You gave totally false replies. If you would like me to go into that, I would be more than happy. And the town's procedure to file a complaint against the zoning code enforcement is to file it with the zoning code enforcement officer. So I see no sense or reason when I have a complaint about you not doing your job to send the complaint to you. That's why I sent it to the board. And I would really like to hear Mr. Molino, or for that fact, any board member, say why this is a situation.
Mr. Herring.
All right, that's it with it.
Karen, I was chairman of the zoning board the first time I heard about this problem, and I heard the same, could have even been in an email, the same explanation from Attorney Regan as you did. Okay, so I just want to verify
Mr.
that.
Hubbard, that, I hate to
But
throw
there's no
you in
reason,
on
I'm
this.
sorry, hold on.
All right.
Well, but there's no reason we can't look into it again.
Right.
Okay,
Do you have any comment on that, Mr. Hubbard? No, I mean about the regulations about the school. Yeah.
Mr. Niles?
It was an upgrade, it was not a new,
All right. We'll have to, I will tell you, we're gonna look into it. I know you don't want to hear that, but can't do anything right now. We have to move on. Other people want to speak.
No, that's exactly what I would like to hear, is that you're going to look into it. And Mr. Niles, for your information, Mr. Reagan was correct back when he made that ruling, but the law has changed since. And our zoning enforcement officer needs to be kept up on that. And if it's the town that's not providing the training or whatever, the tools that they would need to do that, that's
Thank you, Mr. Hammond. You're
rectified.
not going to get anything done. You keep repeating the same stuff. We're going to move on to the next one. Who's up next? D.C. Ruth?
Yes, this is Dawn Keyers. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I live at 42 Sylvan Road, and I wanted to talk about the kayak boat situation. Gene, if you remember, I was the one who went to the town board to begin with to complain about the parking. It's constant when the kayaks and boats were down here. I am the last driveway on Sylvan Road. My driveway gets used for turnarounds all the time. Our elderly neighbor, Pat, she's 88 years old. Her car almost got hit. I have a stone wall down at the end of my driveway where we can park our cars. Our cars have been almost hit several times. And that is the issue with having the kayaks down there. It's constant. Wednesday morning, I'm getting my driveway paved. Do you think I want people continuously coming down here and using my driveway to turn around all the time? I do not. You guys ended up moving the kayaks. That was number one. And then Gene, you had come down and did tell everybody about the beach area. We know it's not a beach. When you look from Sylvan Road at the lake, there's a big tree. To the left is the town. To the right is a private. That is private. That is owned by the last resident on Sylvan Road. We have permission to set our chairs there on that side. It's private. We can go out and use our floats. If you see people on the other side, it is none of us from Sylvan Road. You had told us we couldn't use it. It was town, and we do not. We have told several people, and so hasn't Paul. We have gone down there over and over, especially when the pandemic hit and the state was here. You cannot use that as a beach. You cannot use it as the beach. And they just look at us like, who the hell are you? Right? We don't have any right to tell them that. But I want this lady to know that we do not use that side. And if she sees people over there, it is not us from Sylvan Road.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
I went to the town board, I went to look at the map, and all of that area, right up to the Indian Trail is town property. The people in that yellow house, I know them, a good friend of mine, Beth Bieber, and he does not own Lakewood. So I don't know who's giving them permission because the man, that house.
All right.
Mike Seaver said he did what?
I said, that's Wade Bieber. You know
Beth,
that.
yes.
That told me that the man who owns that yellow king, Camp Bovilo, told her he does not own it. So who's giving them permission? Do they pay for lakefront taxes? Up at the map of the town, it was not his property.
If you look
If we look at the map,
on the town map,
yes,
the person that you're talking about used to be LaSource's house. It's white. Okay. Mike Seaver's camp is right on the point. The house coming back toward the road area. There's a gentleman by the name, it used to be LaSource. Now the grandchildren own the property.
it's on the town map, it shows that that is town property.
And they own out 20 feet out into that lake.
We already went. We looked at it.
Very good.
I'm,
not gonna fight
I'm
it.
getting a
I'm just saying.
request from someone that they come to the mic. They're not hearing them.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, that's what
I'm not-
happens. Yeah.
I'm not gonna go.
All right. It's another problem we'll have to look into. All right, anybody else out there? Not, well, what else? You got anybody else out there?
Right here.
Come up to the mic.
Resolution 88, final county,
Right,
are they going to present the town of Luzerne with insurance for that building in public? If we wish it to? I didn't read that in here.
The terms of the contract.
Yeah, it's in the lease.
I think,
It's in the contract,
I think-
they're gonna provide insurance.
they're gonna do maintenance and provide
Liability
insurance.
to the town of Luzerne.
Yes.
That's in the contract.
They have provisions in the lease that they have to provide insurance to the town, just like anybody else that's doing work on town property.
Doing work or liability. If somebody gets hurt,
Right.
yeah, okay.
Thank you.
I didn't see that,
We're protected.
you know?
All right, anybody else out there? Anybody from the board have anything to say? Motion to adjourn?
Second.
We gotta change the date.
That was the other thing. Oh, one more thing, yeah. Memorial Day falls on the 30th of May. That's the 5th Monday. Can we move it to the 23rd, which will be the 4th Monday?
The agenda meeting?
Yeah, the agenda meeting. Is that all right with you,
Fine by
Karen?
me.
You guys happy with that?
May
Yes.
23rd.
So we'll move it up to the 23rd, which is actually the 4th Monday of May. All right, so that'll be 5/20. And we'll put it out on the website, Karen.
Pardon?
We'll get it out on the website.
Yeah.
Cindy will tell Lori. All right. What's that?
Yes.
Agenda
Yeah.
meeting. It's going to be on the 23rd, because the 30th, which is the last Monday of the month, which we call our agenda month, it's Memorial Day. All right.
I'll second your motion.
All right, we got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.